Yeah,
Good luck.
we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
thanks.
Well, and like, even if it's a small fraction of that, it's still good. Yep. Right, right.
change for our account.
You should be on that.
Thank you.
Are you on? Better. When is it?
Energy savings.
Good. That will help.
But we have to submit
A long road.
It's 5:15. We'll call this regular meeting to order. I'd like to recognize everybody that's in the audience this evening. Would you please stand and recite the pledge with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No, I think I didn't move it, but
School board norms. Steve, would you like to read those?
Decisions will be based on the board's strategic plan, its mission, and what's best for students. The board will act as stewards of tax dollars. Board members will complete foundation work to be prepared for meetings. Meetings will be efficient. All perspectives will be voiced and heard. All board members will maintain a professional decorum.
Thanks, Steve. Moving to public communications, we have none. Any conflicts of interest to declare? Greg? 670. No conflicts of interest. Moving to consent agenda. Motion to approve. Motion by Brenda. Seconded by Diane. Any discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving into our regular meeting, we have nothing under recognition, correspondence. Moving to reports, we have the school board convention report. Any members that have, board members that want to say something of what they, as far as breakout sessions or comments on the convention? Bob?
I thought it was an excellent
Oh,
convention.
your mic.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I thought it was a good convention. I enjoyed the law session. I thought it was maybe a little bit more appropriate this year than maybe what it had been in the past. As far as we had the motivational speakers we had, I thought were among the best I've ever heard. The speakers that came in for the convention. The sessions I went to the what's new with TFFR. Make sure that Mr. Leck is doing his job there on the board. They're making money, so yes. Yes, they're doing well. So that was good. And then I went to a session with two legislative leaders talking about, the session and what's going on in the future, what's going on in the interim. Of course, that was not great news just because, like they said, education did better than anybody else, and we still didn't do that well. And in the future, in terms of funding, yes, thank you. It may not be a lot better in the future because some of the savings accounts have been spent down a little bit. So that was good to hear, but it was again kind of not the best. And I guess I can't think of anything else that just again a good convention.
Okay. Any other members that want to comment? I know I went to the law seminar is coming up next, but the John Draper presentation was good, and he talked about the changing of schools and public, the changing of how public looks at public schools and so on, and he was very interesting to talk to. And then at the law seminar, we had an opioid presentation by Chris Myers and the doctor from, what was his name? From Fargo, so the superintendent Fargo there. Jeff Schatz, Dr. Schatz, and they have a program over there. It's a student wellness and family facilitators. I mean, they have a grant that pays for this, and they come into their schools and help with emotional distressed kids and so on, and kids that have some issues. And so that was good to hear that they're doing that, and that's out there working. So, any other comments, Jennifer? Do you? None? Or?
Yeah, I also went to the John Draper. He had 3 breakout sessions that he did, and they were all about the conversations around public schools and like kind of the nationwide opinion. I felt fortunate to be in North Dakota, that we have really supportive people in North Dakota for our public schools. That's not true everywhere, but some of the topics that he brought up were, they rung true also for us, and just talked about why has the opinion changed a little bit, and that was really good to listen to. So I appreciated those breakouts. And then I also went to the school law and found some of the case scenarios that they went over of some learning experiences that happened in some other districts that we could just take a mindful look at for our own district, and how we want to frame some of our policies off of the lessons that they had to learn.
Okay. Heidi?
So I also attended the school law, and as usual, there's always good information to be had there. I think the opioid one was I found interesting, and just some of the considerations with just not just in educate, just the overall effect of our state even. And then also, I think even some of the considerations now with changing in technology and social media and those kinds of things, some of those considerations as well, I think I found very interesting.
Steve, you have any comments or no?
I did go to a breakout about construction, new construction, and we're into that process already, and I guess I saw that things are right on track for us, even though we're kind of in neutral right now. No real concerns about where we're at, and a few things that we can maybe use as we move forward.
Okay. Any other comments on it? Or I know we have the law and seminars up now too, but we've discussed that and so on. So, Sally, do you have anything from the business managers seminar?
Well, fortunately, I was able to attend the John Draper and some of the sessions that were combined, and then also the business managers get together and do different things. And we met with the state retirement system, the North Dakota PERS, because there's some changes on there on record keeping, for overtime and different items like that. And so we had a review of the state fire and tornado, along with attending the good sessions that you guys did too. So thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Sally. Moving on to number 4, superintendent's report. Rob?
We have my written report there, and just to touch on a few things. And one thing with, in discussion with the school board convention topics, the opioid, Mr. Howitt, you brought up the Dr. Schatz and the behavioral health initiative that they're operating through Fargo Public Schools. And we've talked about that here at board meetings a few different times regarding our district's serving on a committee for it's House Bill 1040 now, and there was some other work that's gone into that. We've been involved in that since the ground level with the legislative focus group in trying to work to support behavioral health for our students, and that's something that there was a pilot grant through House Bill 1040, and we're on that planning committee. We just had a meeting today to work on that. So there's things coming. That pilot grant was decreased from a nice chunk that we probably could have done something with to really something that would be hard to fund a pilot grant or pilot program with, but we feel like we can use it for planning for the next session and trying to get a proposal that could really benefit districts, as all districts are struggling right now with behavioral health and how we can support kids, how we can support families in terms of behavior, and teachers and other staff, how we can support them all with the challenges of behavioral health. So it's something that we're working on. When we're ready, I'll certainly bring something like that to you so you can see a little bit of the work that we've been doing, but it's a good 3 years in the making. So it's something that we're working with. Outside of that, I made some comments regarding the process for the superintendent evaluation. Just my recommendation, I know there's a few different ways you could do this in terms of the embedded evaluation that's monthly. Just a reminder, it isn't by meeting, it's by month. You certainly can do it every meeting, but you don't need to. That is something you could do just once per month. You can do all 6 areas, or you could do the 2 areas. And I know there's some that have done quarterly, and we'll just do the whole thing quarterly. And that's, whatever works for you is fine. What we laid out was at the minimum of twice per month or 2 competency areas per month. And so I made some suggestions in there for that. We are transitioning to the Marzano model for our school leaders also. We know that our teachers are there already, and so we're working on that process. And I just shared again with you the selection of elements that our principals have done. As I talked, when we initially talked about this, we selected one, and that was being data-driven instructional leaders. And and it's a very good segue to some board education you'll hear later from our instructional coaches who are pretty involved with our principals in terms of being data-driven. But that's one area that we want to focus on, because we think that's something as a district we can do better. And so that's one area, and then we allow the principals to select the other 2. And so it's individualized, but also focused on areas of need. So that's what we're doing. Like I said, you can click on that link and you'll see the different selection of elements that they have selected. But I'm very encouraged by it, and I think there's a lot of really good process that we can follow. I did include our advanced ed exit report and next steps. We'll get a more comprehensive report when that report is finished. This is kind of the macro, 15,000-foot view that they give us in 20 minutes or so at the end of this process. And one thing I wanted to lay out, as I mentioned in there, when we had this review last time in 2013, there were 6 required actions. This year we have 3. So that's already a real positive thing. And one thing I wanted to lay out, and we're at the board meeting here, and 3 of our required actions last time dealt directly with the school board. Whether it's understanding roles and responsibilities, strategic planning, and it was directly related to the board. And the Leslie Ballard, who was our lead evaluator, pointed out in that session that the board moved from having 3 required actions into being a powerful practice. So I think that's one of those things that as a board you want to, it's a feather in your cap. That's stating that from a governance standpoint, the district is doing very well, and that has a lot to do, obviously, with the people that are in this room. So, put that feather in your cap and be honored by that, because it's a result of hard work and dedication to governance the way it's supposed to be done. So, like I said, that's a very positive thing. I think it speaks highly of the district and the work that everybody that's done here. Outside of that, I just wanted to touch very briefly on ESSA updates. What I'll be doing as part of board education over the next couple of months is trying to break down the ESSA requirements so you have an understanding of that accountability process and how we're going to be accountable. It's a pretty big thing, so I wanted to break it down into chunks. And I gave you some examples, when we talk about Choice Ready, that's part of our growth plan. And you'll be able to see that and kind of break down and look at how that works, or look at how that'll impact the district and how we're going to be held accountable for the ESSA, through the ESSA plan. And so just to, like I said, give you a brief overview of that. I'll be soon bringing forward a school calendar for adoption. Created a draft today. It'll go to committee. They'll have discussions and bring that forward. I'm looking to that probably in January. Okay? And I'm assuming that there would be no issues from the board at doing 2-year calendars. Again, that it just makes sense from a planning standpoint. I wanted to touch on the NDSBA Service Award. As you know, I've linked an example here, and then where the point totals are. Every time you go to an activity, receive training, serve in committees at the state, local, national level, you accumulate points. 200 points gets you to that master board member. And that at 100 points, you also get, please remind me, Amy, what that's called? Distinguished? It's distinguished at 100. And I didn't list it in here. Greg is at 200. Greg Allen is well over 200 points. So he was at 200 points, I think, a while back. And then Roger has accumulated 100 points to be at that next level. So he'll be honored at that next at that next annual meeting. So with that, I will hold unless you have any questions for me.
Heidi, you have a question?
I just have a question with the ESSA. When that gets completely finalized, and when does it become active that we have to meet? What is there a date that we have to meet those requirements?
Yeah, we're operating in there now. There's components of it that will have to, but July 1st was the, yeah. So we're already operating in that, but there's just not components of it that aren't yet.
Any other questions for Rob? None? Okay, done with your report? Okay. Moving on to board education, we have political competency, tracks update. Amy, would you like to come forward?
Hi there. It's been a while since I've been here to visit with you. Thank you for having me back. I'm Amy Walters, the facility manager for Two Rivers Activity Center. I did print out a report to put in front of you as well, so you can reference that. Just wanted to give you a quick update. We did complete construction in August and opened the doors to the entire facility September 5th, and we've been off and running ever since. Right now, we're just in the process of finishing the final punch items, so we do have a few subcontractors in, just finishing up, doing some things that we found during the final closeouts, and so we're moving forward with that, completing our final payment process and getting to that where we're wrapping everything up on the construction standpoint. I highlighted a few things that I get asked often, and so I thought I would just get out in front and address those right away at the beginning, and then I'm more than happy after I run through these items to take any questions you may have. We currently have right around 90 total staff. 10 are full-time and the remainder are part-time. Our membership is I just ran the report, so we have 2,494 active members, which equates to 1,455 memberships, and you can see there kind of the breakdown between family memberships, individual, youth, seniors, all of those types of things. As far as programming goes, we are currently still enrolling for the Learning Center. The Learning Center serves 3, 4, and 5-year-olds in a preschool setting. We're pretty proud of the fact that our 3 full-time staff all have degrees in education and are leading that charge there. We also have a school-age program where we provide before and after-school care, and we are also offering day camps. So during the teachers' convention, we had Mad Scientist Camp on that Thursday and Friday. Coming up this Friday, we have another opportunity that's going to focus on a Veterans Day theme that's talking about a hero. So we're going to be making some parachutes and doing some obstacle courses. We have a veteran coming in to talk about flag etiquette and those types of things. We have several new programs that will be coming out here shortly that range from a boot camp style class to TRX suspension training, and we are doing a youth focused class. We have quite a few kids that come after school that are at the age that they can be in the building unsupervised, and we kind of want to capitalize on that and give those kids a little bit more structure when they're there with us, and make sure that they're using the equipment and things like that in a safe and healthy way. That program's called Flex, and the tag on it is flex your muscle, flex your mind, and flex your character. So we're excited to partner with the UJ Education Department, the Physical Education Department. They have a student that's going to be leading that for us, so we're pretty excited about that. Specific to our partnership with Jamestown Public Schools, I just wanted to highlight a few items and activities that we have going on in partnership. I'm certain you've heard about the Department of Transportation Transportation Alternative Program, which is essentially the Safe Routes to Schools grant, as we kind of all know it. That has been funded, and we anticipate construction starting on that project in 2018, where we'll be paving a path between the high school and track to help move folks back and forth. We do have a fair amount of high school students, and when it's wet, it's muddy. So being able to get them back and forth in a safer way as well will be helpful. And that's just a portion of that project. Additional walking paths and things like that in the area of the high school will be part of it as well. Another grant that we wrote in partnership with the public schools was a community orchard grant through the Department of Agriculture. We did that in partnership with Sadie Leck and her classroom and Mr. Gaylor, the high school principal. So we secured those funds, and the students were highly involved in the planning and the design of the orchard. They created the budgets, they created the design, they calculated the number of trees for the square footage. That's the work we submitted for the grant application. And essentially, since then, we've been waiting for excavation and everything to be complete on track ground. Unfortunately, we didn't get that done in time to get the trees in the ground this fall, but we'll be looking to do that in the spring right away. So the students will be involved with the actual planting of the orchard as well. In the future, we look to use that as an educational opportunity in itself. So both for the community and students regarding whether it be horticulture, agriculture, canning and preserving, all of those types of things. We every day have students from the Transition House that share their time with us in the On Track Learning Center. They help to prep and serve and clean up during lunchtime for our students and for our children. So that's been a great partnership. And then they also participate in our agency membership program. So they bring the students from the Transition House up and they get to utilize the facility, whether it's the gym or the equipment or the walking track or whatever it may be. Athletic team usage. We have had and it says football, that's a typo, I apologize for that. It was the soccer and tennis teams that used the bubble when there was some inclement weather. They were able to practice in that space when it was raining and were not ideal conditions for them to be outside. So our football and tennis teams, though, did help with the install of the field turf, so that was very much appreciated. That is a manpower heavy project, and so when we installed that, we had lots of help, and that was much appreciated, so I wanted to give those programs some kudos as well. The high school dance team practices in one of our group exercise classrooms twice a week. And then we are scheduled to host 5 days, evenings, nights, depending on when those games are scheduled for sub-varsity basketball games. So we will have a JV game and 2 sophomore games on the north court of our gymnasium. We have started some initial conversations as well with the high school physical education department, trying to find some strategies for us to help meet the needs of our shortage of lifeguards and for them to be able to provide another layer to their swimming instruction in the high school. So we're looking at partnering with our certified lifeguard instructor to come in and teach alongside with the physical education teacher during their swimming lesson, during their swimming unit, be able to divide students out according to, if they want to consider taking that certification, they could work on the skills that are needed for the life-saving, and then they would have all the information they needed essentially to become certified once they finished with that unit in the class. So we're excited about that possibility. So, and Rob, you can let me know if I missed any of the high points along the way. Rob still does serve on our advisory committee, so we still continue to meet once a month at 7 a.m. Tomorrow morning we'll be there again. So still seeking lots of input from our partners and the community as we begin to move forward into the everyday operations of the facility.
Just a comment, appreciate from Two Rivers Activity Center a lot of opportunities for our students to partner with the center. We appreciate that. I think great ideas have come out with the programming for when we do have school out days. I think those are really helpful. I think that's a great idea and a great way that track and the school can partner together, recognize the needs in the community. I think those are really good things. And a lot of the partnerships that are here have happened organically and really been positive experiences of two ways that two community organizations can work together, and it's been very positive, so thank you for that.
And before Heidi, I did just remember as well that one item I forgot to put on here is that we do also host some high school students in both a service learning opportunity as well as internship opportunities. Right now, most of those students are involved in our learning center because they're interested in going into education. But we do have one other student that is just kind of general facility, and so we like to keep him busy there as well.
Any questions or comments for Heidi?
That was actually one of my questions, as you
okay.
probably maybe have guessed when I was going to ask. So I thank you for that opportunity for the service learning and just some different opportunities for students than what we traditionally have. And congratulations, it looks like things are going very well. With the usage part, for our contract, we had the exchange for usage. Has that been going well, and that tracking process?
It has, yeah.
Well?
So
Okay.
essentially, Jim and I sat down in August, and so we're scheduled to have a quarterly meeting to look at schedule, and so when we meet here now again, I will basically, the way our system works is we just put all the rentals, and Jamestown Public Schools is essentially accruing a fee, a balance due, and then each quarter I'll generate that report for Jim and the school district so you can see all the rental usage for that quarter, and then that will go against that balance of $350,000.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Bob?
I should know this, but I forget. You've got about 2,500 members. What was your break-even point on memberships, approximately? I know you can't say, but I think it's merely publications.
Yes. So in our business plan, we were looking at, so for truly looking at break even is around 4,800 members. And again, that's hard to estimate the types of members, memberships, family versus individual, all of that type of thing. Our goal for year one was 2,700. That was not break even, though.
Rob?
No.
And one comment too about that is that's looking at just one component of revenue generation. The daily the daily passes and things like that are also need to be considered. That was estimated pretty low, and so that makes an impact too. So it's not just the membership, even though that's the number one driver. There's other streams of revenue too that are being generated, and I think that's important to recognize too when we're talking about break-evens and all that stuff.
Okay. Any other comments, or Diane?
Amy, I just wanted to comment on, I know it was a very long and arduous road to get track up and running, years. And as a member of the community, I just can't tell you how pleased I am with how it is working out and how it's integrating into the community, working with the community. And your work with the public school district is a good example of that. And I especially like seeing the little details of the transition house students coming over every day and helping to clean, and just keep up the good work is all I can say. And I think track is a big part of our community now, and justifiably so. So congratulations.
Thank you. It's been a big team effort.
No other comments, or none? Okay, thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Yep. Moving on to number 2, instructional coaching. Joe and Brandy? And Mary?
First of all, you guys get a chance to hear me often enough, so I brought somebody else with. Instructional coaching in our district fills a very important area with our teachers' professional development and curriculum development and their professional growth. So instead of me spending a lot of time talking about it, I asked Brandy. Brandy works at the middle school and the high school as an instructional coach, and then Mary Stillwell is at the elementary, and we also have one other instructional coach, new lady this year, Christina Broughton, or Barton, excuse me, that is an instructional coach as well. So we have 2 at the elementary and 1 at the middle school and 1 at the high school. So I'll just turn it over to them and let them tell you what they do.
Okay, so I'm between the middle school and the high school. It really just depends. Mary and I were talking about what building we're at and how they utilize us. But a lot of what we do is assisting or running professional development for teachers. A majority of my time spent at the high school is part of their PLC process, so their late starts on Wednesdays. They're working through their 4 corollary questions, which are what do all students need to know and learn or know and understand? How do we know if they know it? What do we do if they don't? And then that evaluation piece. So each one of those departments at the or at the high school right now is in a different question. But a lot of our work right now is with the PLC process. We do a lot with assessments, answering questions. We do a lot with the new students when they first come in. We have a new student protocol that we bring them through with assessments and then also their schedules at the middle school and high school. What else, anything I'm missing there, do you think, with assessments? No. Professional development at the different levels. At the middle school, we have the house concept. So quarterly, we meet as a house. Then we'll meet as content areas and then with content partners. So, and again, it just depends. We work with new teachers as well. And we're kind of just an on-call with anybody that needs us, really.
I'm Mary Stillwell. I work between Gusner and Roosevelt, and our other elementary coach focuses more on Washington, Louis L'Amour, and Lincoln this year. At the elementary level, we do 3 data reviews each year to take a look at students in each of our buildings. And then we'll also meet periodically about other students to try to meet their needs the best that we can. We are also considered internal coaches for Reading Corps, which is a part of AmeriCorps. So we do observations with our volunteers twice a month, and then we meet with our master coach from Fargo once a month. We facilitate our team time, which is our grade level meetings. We have that 3 times per year. Each grade meets for about half a day. And there we focus on different district initiatives and how we can best help our teachers work through those. We also meet with our professional learning communities, and that's a little bit different for each building, depending upon common preps that the teachers have. It's usually 1 to 2 times per month for about an hour each time. And there we'll take a deeper look at student data because it is with either one or 2 teachers. We'll help them plan lessons and look at their small groups. And then another job that we have at the elementary level is to model lessons, to team teach, to do some peer observations for those teachers, just anything that we can do to help make learning better for all of the students here in Jamestown.
Any questions for them or other comments or none? Rob?
A comment. I want to voice my appreciation for our instructional coaches, and I know Christina isn't able to be here, but they serve a very important role that I think would be very difficult to do what we do without coaches. The data piece in particular, I think, is really, in our district, a very critical thing. In schools, we've collected data, assessment data, for a long time. That hasn't been the issue. It's been what do you do with that data. I think the instructional coaches are a really critical piece to that, because taking that and working to apply that data that we get. And I think as a district, we still have a ways to go, and that's something we want to get better at. But I think they're a very important piece to that puzzle, and so thank you for that. And I think if our building principals were here, they would say that they are invaluable. And I think it's something that as we look as a district, that might be an area from a staffing standpoint that we're probably a little short. In a perfect world, there would be more than 3 instructional coaches, and I would think they would probably, internally, I'm sure inside they're saying yes. But they're stretched very thin, and their work is very important. It works alongside, they run in that middle ground between teacher and administrator. And they serve a really important role in that process in that bridge. between the administrator and the teacher, and really a great support for our students, our students through our teachers. So thank you for all the work that you do, and it's a very, very important job. So thank you that you do it.
Heidi, you have a comment, or?
There we go, okay. I also would like to express appreciation from the board for the work you do. I think those of us board members that serve on the advanced standard accreditation, we really could see firsthand how valuable the work you do is, and just the data and just the information sharing. You were very knowledgeable about what was happening in the district, and it was very helpful, so thank you.
Okay. Any other? Nope. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Moving on to any old business. None. Moving into new business, we have nothing under activities or building and grounds. Well, building and grounds, we have the memo of understanding between the Jamestown Regional Medical Center and Jamestown Public School. You want to comment on that, Rob, before we?
Sure, are there any questions? And I did outline that in my report. It's simply one of those documents that we hope that we don't have to ever utilize, but it would just be in the event that there's an emergency at JRMC that we would house equipment, staff, patients potentially, whatever would be needed in the short term for safe shelter.
Motion, Jennifer?
One comment, it's a continuation of a memorandum that is currently operating. It just hasn't been reviewed or updated.
Somebody who works in the health department, these MOUs they're used every once in a while, and so they're really important. So I'm glad that we do see them as a continuation. I just had one small comment. I think they want to put the mission of Jamestown Public Schools within this memorandum of understanding, and they don't have it correct. I'm assuming it's an old one. So I think we can go ahead and approve this, but with a note of we've updated our mission.
It's a great catch. Thank you. I saw that as soon as you said in the mission, and I did catch that now. So we can. I would agree that you could approve it, and then we can make any.
Jennifer? Jennifer moves that we approve it with the updating the mission statement, and Heidi seconds it. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving into curriculum, we have nothing under finance, nothing. Going into number 5, we have personnel. We have the superintendent's evaluation. And I met with Rob and we went over the evaluation, and all the numbers look good. And I mean, you see it on your drive that, the comparison between the boards and his self-evaluation are really close. So we need to approve the first 6 as far as the individual ones, and then have an overall rating. So is there a motion to approve the first goal and vision setting at a 3.85 as a satisfactory? Brenda, you move? Okay. Motion by Brenda. Seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Sally?
Jennifer Schmidt?
Yes.
Diane Hansen?
Yes.
Steve Veldkamp? Heidi Larson?
Yes.
Brenda Remick? Roger Hout?
Yes.
Robert Toso. Motion passes.
Moving into number 2, is there a motion to approve a satisfactory rating for board relationships at a 3.77? Motion by Bob. Seconded by Heidi. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Steve Veldkamp? Heidi Larson? Roger Hout?
Yes.
Jennifer Schmidt?
Yes.
Robert Toso?
Yes.
Diane Hansen?
Yes.
And Brenda Remick. Motion passes 7-0.
Moving to number 3, is there a motion to approve a satisfactory rating under human resource and management at a 3.81? Motion by Jennifer. Seconded by Diane. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Diane Hansen?
Yes.
Steve Veldkamp? Robert Toso?
Yes.
Brenda Remick? Jennifer Schmidt?
Yes.
Roger Hout?
Yes.
Heidi Larson?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Moving to number 4, is there a motion to approve a satisfactory rating for curriculum and student support services, 3.73? Motion by Brenda. Seconded by Diane, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote?
Heidi Larson. Roger Hout.
Yes.
Robert Toso. Diane Hansen.
Yes.
Jennifer Schmidt. Brenda Remick. Steve Veldkamp. Motion passes 7-0.
Moving to number 5, is there a motion for a satisfactory rating under Community Relations, 3.89? Motion by Jennifer. Seconded by Bob. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote?
Roger Hout.
Yes.
Robert Toso. Diane Hansen.
Yes.
Heidi Larson. Jennifer Schmidt. Brenda Remick. Steve Veldkamp. Motion passes 7-0.
Moving to number 6, is there a motion to approve a satisfactory rating for Operations and Resource Management, 3.81? Motion by Bob, seconded by Brenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote?
Robert Toso. Diane Hansen.
Yes.
Heidi Larson. Roger Hout.
Yes.
Steve Veldkamp. Brenda Remick. Jennifer Schmidt. Motion passes 7-0.
Moving into, is there a motion to overall satisfactory rating approval? Motion by Bob, seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote?
Heidi Larson. Jennifer Schmidt. Roger Hout.
Yes.
Brenda Remick. Robert Toso. Steve Veldkamp. Diane Hansen.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Well, thank you, Rob. Any comments or none?
I appreciate the opportunity. I think the superintendent evaluation the process that we moved to gives a lot of good feedback, and I appreciate that. And as we go along, we'll continue to hone the process and make it even better. I had some suggestions of what we could do in the report. And just based on some of the comments, they didn't really fit in the categories that we had, so we need to make another comment category that could be just general comments instead of trying to fit them in somewhere else. So that's something. But the more feedback I get, the better I feel like I can grow. It's that growth mindset, and so that feedback to me is very important. So I appreciate that you take the time each month and make those ratings and comments, because it does make a difference to me. And I appreciate, in general, just the opportunity to be in Jamestown. So thank you.
And I think I can speak for the entire board. We appreciate everything that you do for us and the district, too. So thank you. Moving in to policy and procedures. Is there a motion to approve all the second readings, A through H, and their subsequent numbers? Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Diane. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving into number 7, handbooks. Is there a motion to approve the EL handbook? Motion by Bob, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? Jennifer?
Is this a nationwide movement to change the name from ELL to EL?
As part of ESSA, and just to transition the name. It seems, every 5-10 years we change acronyms because we don't want people to get too comfortable with knowing what they're talking about, apparently. But no, it is a national trend, yeah.
Any other discussion? Bob?
Maybe just a question about the program. Without getting into too many specifics, is there growth in this program, or is it staying about the same, or where is it?
It's a great question. 5 years ago, when I came here, we had, I think, 16 to 19 students, somewhere in that range. And generally, if you think about there's a scale, there's a levels for EL students from 1 to 5, the 1 being the neediest in terms of support, and the 5 being those that need the least amount of support. We get funding for levels 1, 2, and 3. That's part of our funding formula. And actually, we get funding for level 3 for 3 years. Apparently, after that, then you don't get funding for them anymore. I'm not sure what the rationale is for that, but that's how the system works. And so 5 years ago, we had 16 to 20, and they ranged mostly between level 3s and level 5s. And so we were staffed appropriately. Now and when I say 19, I mean 19 throughout the course of the year. Sometimes that would spike. That changes somewhat with our enrollment. But about 3 years ago, we started seeing 4 years ago, we started seeing a significant increase in that peaked around 39, 40 students, and the student count isn't as problematic from a staffing standpoint as the levels. So we transitioned from having fewer students with lower levels, 3s, 4s, and 5s, to more students and there being higher level needs. And that precipitated the increase of the 1.0 FTE EL coordinator that we had hired, and that has worked very well. That number has stayed pretty consistently in the 30s in the last couple of years. So I certainly don't think that our EL teachers are looking for something to do. They keep pretty busy. And then we do have Phyllis Clemens, who is our elementary principal at Washington. We also paid for her to become EL certified, and that allows us to maximize Washington Elementary in the event we need that time, that Mrs. Clemens could do some of that. Also, we've been fortunate that we've been able to manage with the staff that we do have, the 1.5 FTE that manage that. But when you have 9 buildings, sometimes it's a travel issue too. And so we try to maximize with enrollments, that we concentrate the needs the best that we can. So we don't have staff running to every elementary. We try to maximize the space that way. But it's a continued area that we need to support, but I do think we're well staffed to do it. They do a great job. So, but yeah, the needs certainly change between level 5s and a level 1. They have plans to follow and assessments, and one other thing that I think this is a great, maybe a little understanding of sometimes how our funding formula doesn't make sense. With our EL students, we know this, that we get paid for the students we educated last year, right? So when we have a level 1 student, for example, we get a level 1 student, they're assessed in the fall. And we go through and put all the plans in place to support a level 1 student, our neediest in terms of student support. Well, a level 1 student by the end of year 1 has probably tested into a level 2. So although we get paid for a level 1 student at a higher rate, by the time we actually get to count them as a student, they've already transitioned into a level 2. So we spend all the resources and support to move the bar, which we should do, and then we get paid for moving them. We don't get compensated in our funding formula for moving the bar. It's just another example of how on-time funding is important to educate the kids you have in your building right now. And as you know, our system operates the other way. We get paid for the students we had last year. So just one more piece of information for you there.
Okay. Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to number 8, tuition. Is there a motion to approve a tuition agreement for a 7th grade Jamestown student to attend Montpelier Public School for the 2017-18 school year? Motion by Brenda. Seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any items for future agenda? Diane?
I have 2 tonight. The first one has to do with the high school. There are lots of changes going on, and I don't want to burden Mr. Gaylor with coming here and summarizing it all, so he doesn't necessarily have to be the one, but I would like to get a clearer picture of what's happening at the high school, the Wednesday mornings differences.
The PLCs.
Yes.
An update on PLCs.
Yes, thank you. And the second thing, I'm struggling with how to broach this subject, but we have so many feathers in our cap, and I've heard enough from the general public like this that I'd like to foster a board discussion about problems with keeping our janitorial staff up and fully filled, and just solutions that we can offer them. It seems to be I wouldn't say a weak link, but we're struggling right now with janitorial services, and I basically promised several people that I would bring it to the board because I have heard so much about it in the last 2 months. And I'd like a discussion on solutions. I know that we've got a labor problem in Jamestown. I understand that. I understand we're doing the absolute best that we can, but I'm seeking solutions so that I can tell my constituents we are trying our best to solve this problem. And just what the problem looks like, if it's bigger or smaller than I think, or whatever. Just a general discussion about it would be nice, and just a report maybe. And Mr. Leck and I have talked privately about it, but I've heard so much about it that I felt like my fellow board members could help with this. Thank you.
Okay. Any other items for future agenda? Bob?
This isn't for future agenda. I should have mentioned it earlier, but I was at a JSDC committee meeting this morning, and a student from the high school was there as an intern at JSDC. And, of course, she's pretty quiet, lots of adults. But it was really nice to see. So just to let you know that program is up and running, and I know the people at JSDC are really positive about it. And the student that was there is looking at a future in the business world of some kind. So thanks to the people that have gotten that program up and running. It is out there working.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Any other ones come up, please let myself or Rob know, and we'll try to get them on the agenda. Meetings to be scheduled. We have a next school board meeting is Monday, November 20th, 2017, 5:15 here in the Thompson Room. We have the health insurance meeting on Monday, November 13th at 3:30 in the district office conference room. Any other meetings, Heidi, you have?
So we have one meeting in December and then one in January, is that correct? Just for,
Right.
for after that, okay,
Right,
just making
yep.
sure we have, because we don't meet twice. in those
Only
months.
once in December.
Yep, just for people to know that.
Yeah,
that
once
way,
in
okay.
January, yep. So, and if anybody out there wants to look, they're on the website, I mean, as far as the meeting dates and so on. And then moving to Roman numeral number 6, monthly superintendent, we have section 4 and 5. And to just remind the board members that by doing this twice a month does help Rob and us, I mean, as far as a board, give us a comprehensive look at the whole picture instead of waiting to an end to do one evaluation. It's better to do it continuously throughout the quarter or so. And then also to remind everybody to right-click on their adjournment to assess our meeting. And no other further business. Meeting's adjourned.